What is up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast. Aggro and BaRRaCCuDDa, as per usual, bringing you another flawless, perfect, pristine, clean, handsome podcast here on the Backliners. And in fact, this perfect episode of the Backliners is presented by Factor Meals. Head on over to go.factor75.com/backliner60 for 60% off your first box. That's GoFactor75, those are the numbers, .com, backliners60, again, the numbers, in order for 60% off your first box. It's a great deal. BaRRa, we're kind of in that awkward zone where patch notes are tomorrow, since we're doing this podcast on a Tuesday. So we're going to have a lot to talk about next week and probably even the week after that, because it wouldn't surprise me if we did a whole episode or a lot of episode. Well, it's my first God is coming out this patch. So I'm sure I'm going to want to, yeah, it's all ready. It's ready to go. Nope. I know. Tomorrow I get to show them off to everybody. It's crazy that it's finally time. No. Not really. Yeah, I mean, nothing I could do to change it now. You just gotta be able to let her go. Wait, you guys can't hear BaRRa? Really? Why is that the case, you think? I literally just tested this to see if it would work, so I'm very confused as to why. I can hear you, so it's definitely something to do with the stream. Again, perfect, flawless, all that kind of stuff. BaRRa, could you talk again for me? No, not yet. We're still working on it, though. You know, you can just keep on doing your thing. Not that one. How about this one? All right, how about now, BaRRa?
Hello, it's me.
All right, we got him.
John
right.
Salter.
There he is. Yeah, BaRRa said, so I said, my God, coming up, and then BaRRa said, wow, I thought that was so much further away, and then I said no, and then BaRRa was like, are you nervous? And then I said, no, nothing I can do to change it now. And then BaRRa laughed, and then I looked at chat, and you guys were saying you couldn't hear BaRRa.
Wow, you have a really good memory.
I think I got it all right there. But yeah, it'll be a good amount about. I'm sure want to talk a little bit about Maui and all that kind of stuff. It is crazy. I said his name, and then my brain went, "You can't say that. Like, don't leak it. Like, you're not allowed."
You got Baskin syndrome.
I got Baskin syndrome for sure, but I'm allowed these days. I'm allowed. I can even roll up my sleeves. If you may have noticed, podcast viewers may have noticed that in recent weeks my sleeves have been rolled up all the time, and it's because I got a little Maui tattoo here on my arm, which is like an awkward angle to like show the camera. But I didn't want to spoil it too early, so I had to like wear long sleeves so that no one saw it. It's been so itchy, man. It's been so itchy.
Yeah, I've never gotten a tattoo.
Yeah, we gotta get you one right on the face.
No.
What?
No. I've been wanting to get like a sleeve for so long, and I don't know.
I think you could really pull off a sleeve. I think you really could.
I don't know where to start, but I really want one, but like I don't know what, because my brain is like towards tattoos is like it has to be very like important. It has to have like such a high like status because it's gonna be on me like forever. So that I haven't found a design or like a theme, I guess.
Sure.
That I want like forever, because I've been thinking about lately for like the last like year or two. I want to get like a tattoo for Scott, and I don't know what to get. And I thought about like getting like StarCraft races. You know, like they have like the emblems and stuff, but I wanted to get like all three of those like together. Because that was like the game that we grew up playing, so I thought that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of like the idea came, and then I was just like, that's cool. And then I haven't gotten back to that idea or like tried to come up with anything. But
yeah, I'll say for me, I was never like, I was always pretty ambivalent on tattoos. I was like, yeah, if I find something I like, I'll get it. And if I don't, then I won't. And then every tattoo, I'm up to 5 now. I have 5 tattoos.
Wow.
And for all 5, a lot of them have been my wife's suggestions because she's so smart. And
is she close?
Always. I never have any room. In a good way that I like. Oh God. me like listening for the stairs, see if she's coming
Right.
up. As soon as I've heard the idea, I've been like, okay, yep, that's it. Like, I don't have to think about it. That sounds really good. I love the idea. It's perfect. And then I don't have to, if I have to like go, that could be cool, but I wonder if, like, then I know I'm not ready for that tattoo or something else needs to change about it in order for me to be ready to get it. But for all of mine, it's that I've gotten, I hear it and I know it's like a gut feeling that I know instantly. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to get next. And then I just like can't stop thinking about it until I get it. So that's my experience,
I haven't had one of those gut feelings yet. I really want to. I just want to see a design or like something and be like, yeah, that's for me. Like 100%. And I think I'll know it once I see it. And I think I think once I get the first one, everything else will come way sooner and way quicker.
That is absolutely true. Yeah, the first one feels like it has the most like weight or all that kind of stuff, and you also like don't really know what to expect. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast at all, but I personally think that anyone who says that getting tattoos doesn't hurt at all is lying. I think that's just a lie. It definitely hurts. It's not excruciating pain or torture or anything like that, but it is not something that I enjoy.
Can you relate the pain to something that I would know? Like number wise, like is it like worse than getting pinched? Is it the same as getting like pinched? Or
it's like getting pinched very intensely in the same spot over and over again.
That sounds awful.
It isn't great, like I said, but it's really not that bad. It's like I would describe it as like a 6. Like it's not. I don't know. It's like a 6 that will be over eventually, but it's a pain that I would say if you experience that in like without anything else going on, and all of a sudden that feeling just happened on your arm, everyone on the planet would move their arm to get away from that feeling, right? Like no one's like, yeah, I don't even notice it. Like that's not how it works. But you kind of get into a zone and it stops. Like it isn't terrible pain or anything like that. There are parts that hurt a lot. Like,
do you bleed?
Yeah, you bleed a little bit. It feels, it is exactly what it feels like. You are getting scratched very hard and very deeply in the same spot. But like up and down scratched very quickly. But it also does feel like a little side to side. I don't know. It's a very unique feeling that I don't dread it in any way. Okay. I'm not like, oh my God, I have to go through that. Like, it's just something that you got to do. And the end result has always been super worth it.
It's also like where you get tattooed, right? Like some are way more sensitive than others, and
yes, exactly. Like I got this tattoo on my outer arm, on my forearm, and it's like 3 lines. The top and the bottom line were the least painful tattoos I've gotten because it's like tons of like back up there. It's all, and it's not really on bone at all. It's all like on muscle or fat. The middle line, though, that runs directly along my forearm was the most painful tattoo I've gotten by like a lot, I would say. That one hurt, like going down the middle of my forearm bone. Yeah, that one hurts. That one definitely hurt. But, it's like you just gotta grit your teeth and you're through it in a couple, like in 30-ish minutes, because it wasn't like a huge tattoo that needs a bunch of shading in the area or anything.
Tylenol and ibuprofen help beforehand, or is that like an after you get it done thing?
Yeah, you don't really need it afterwards. Like it'll be tender, but it doesn't like hurt forever.
It just like itches, right?
Yeah, so it kind of goes through phases. Like for the first 2 days, depending on the size and like how much shading in that, because shading is what really hurts the worst because they have to like get color depth in there.
Okay.
And it's kind of going over the exact same spot over and over again. It'll be tender to touch for a couple days, and then it will start to itch, and it will itch very badly, and you aren't allowed to scratch it, because that can mess it up. So you don't want to scratch it, but it's really tough, and it starts looking really nasty, and like you'll think that your tattoo is coming off because like pieces of just black skin are falling off and all that kind of stuff, but that's normal. You just let it happen. Don't pick at it. And it'll be fine. You just toss some moisturizer on it a couple times a day. And
I feel like I'm selling myself not to get a sleeve.
Well, I don't have a sleeve. I do have one of my best friends. She wanted a sleeve and didn't really have a direction, and she just found an artist that she really liked and was like, "I want animals. Do whatever." And just like let this artist kind of go to town, and her sleeve looks awesome.
Wait, can you send me pictures?
Yeah, I can. It was really cool, but you know, getting a sleeve is very expensive and very time consuming. But if you find that, like, if you don't know what you want to get, but you know you want a sleeve, that's what I was going to tell you is like, if you can find an artist that whose style you really like, and you know they'll work with you and be like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna do this and this and this and all that kind of stuff. But if you can find an artist style that you like and want to just give like a light direction and kind of let them design one for you, I think that it could come out like really sick.
Oh, dude, I could get one at like the beginning of like my gaming career, and then like have it go like all the way to Smite. That'd be cool.
That would be sick. Yeah, some like Halo action in the middle
Yeah,
there.
have like Halo, StarCraft, some Mario 64. That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Okay, we're getting there.
I made an idea.
We're getting there. Now we just got to flesh it out. All right, let's talk a little bit about Smite at the very least.
Smite.
YouTube comment, you know, insert here. Here's your timestamp. Yada yada yada.
13 minutes.
SPL this weekend, some pretty interesting sets, I thought. You know, started off a little spicy with you guys versus the Valks. Little unfortunate for you guys on the Bolts, but exciting for Valkyries fans.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I was stressing so hard during that set I was dissociating. Yeah, so
you're like, wow,
not lying, by the way.
This Kurdinos is not doing very much, and you're like, wait, I'm the Kurdinos.
Like, I was sitting here staring at my monitor because I played from home that day, thankfully, thanks to Kavam and the admins. Let me play from home, and I was literally staring at my monitor, and I was just like zoning out so hard. And my teammates were talking, and like I was playing, and I was like, I don't know what they're saying. I'm trying so hard to listen, but it's like not getting to my brain. I'm just not here. And thankfully, like, it got resolved, but the stress of the event, I mean, obviously I can't go into details and won't go into details about what happened.
Sure.
But just really awful Friday morning, and yeah, then I had to play SPL a few hours later, so I was a bit fried that day. Thankfully, yeah, I genuinely don't remember the Valk set at all. Like,
fair enough.
Don't remember at all. I remember Sunday's set against Leviathans. I think that set went pretty good. We almost won.
Yeah.
But the Valk set, I couldn't talk anything about that set. I have no idea what happened.
Fair enough. I think that we're good to leave it there then. Bugz versus Kings was the next set on Friday. This one was pretty typical Kings Smite. Like 8-5 in kills in the win in game 1, 10-8 in kills in their favor in the win in game 2, 26 minutes, 25 minutes. Maybe a little faster than expected sometimes for Kings games, but pretty
yeah, no 40-minute.
Yeah, no 40-minute bangers. So, you know, they were feeling generous that day. But overall, in watching back a little bit of this set, you know, the Scarabs, you're looking for what they're doing week to week, how they're changing and kind of evolving their strategies week to week. I liked the idea of Yark on Kepri, Sam on Pele, just kind of letting him go wild in the middle of the team fight. But against a team like the Kings, I think that strategy didn't work due to how the Kings like to play the map and how they like to play the game. It's really hard to drag them into a fast-paced, kill-heavy game. And I don't really know that the Scarabs drafted super well with that in mind. I just don't see a ton of value in like drafting Ravin solo against the Kings, right? Like, what are, you know, you're not going to be able to goad them into lots of fights around that Ravin in the early game. And Ravin solo scales like okay, I guess, into the late game, but he's not the late game team fight carry that that you can draft in the solo lane.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I thought the Scarabs looked a little bit better to me. But it was their drafting that I wasn't a huge fan of personally in this set.
Yeah, I didn't watch the set, but I think anytime Yar can play Khepri, I think Khepri will always be a good god. So if you can start adding that to his god pool, I think the more time you have on Khepri, I think that is beneficial for literally everyone on your team.
Right. Yeah, agreed. I think that's one of those picks that should kind of always have on the back burner, in the back pocket, so to speak. Oh, nice. Got a nice little Fine OK raid. Hello, all the Fine OK fans out there. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, what's up, boys?
We're talking about last weekend in the SPL, and we're moving on to the Titans up against the Valks. This was a huge opportunity, I felt like, for the Valks to really gain a ton of momentum in this phase. You know, they come off beating you guys on Friday. They come into Saturday. The Titans have looked good, but not unbeatable so far in this phase. Valkyries looked really, really good in game one. I mean, this was a really, really close game and just ultimately can't close out this game one. And then after that type of, after the way that game one went, it could be really, really hard to bounce back and end up playing well in game two after a situation like that, I feel like.
What happened in game one? I don't think I watched many sets this weekend, unfortunately.
No, you're good.
I was a bit busy.
I think I have to scroll through the VOD in order to double check my my knowledge here. But if I remember correctly, this was a game that they should have had that just got away from them a little bit. But I kind of forget.
Were they still going like their double assassin mid comp, or was Benny on like?
Yeah, Benny was on Naja mid again. Okay. Kirmi on set solo. It looks like this wasn't as in their favor as I thought it was. Just scrolling through the VOD. Yeah, I remember checking in and being like, "Wow, the Valks are owning," but maybe it just ended up being real close.
Yeah,
but yeah,
or could have just been like a few kills in the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Benny doesn't have the best score line at the end of the game, 2-7 on the Naja mid, but Kirmi adding things like set to the threat pool. I think that phase 1 and 2, I thought of Kirmi as like a circuit player, someone who wants to set up his team more so than hard carry the games on his own. And Set is not a setup god. That's a I'm going to do it all for the boys by myself type of god. And I think that if he can continually bring that type of pressure to the draft, that makes this team a lot harder to play against. And he had quite a good game on the set game 1. Game 2 went a little bit worse for them. But yeah, I like the idea of Kirby going to things like that if he can consistently perform.
Yeah, I completely agree because Vinny has a very, not like selfish, but very carry playstyle in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kirby adding more of a selfish playstyle is good because then it's like a double threat that you have to worry about. Whereas before, I don't think he had like a complete Captain Twig playstyle, but it was definitely very facilitator, very setup for his team.
Yeah.
Or like very like room making, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, this is where I was like, I knew I tuned in at one point and Valks had fire and they were sieging, and they did. It was like 30 minutes. It looked like they were a little bit behind through the early mid. Won a fight, got fire, and then had an opportunity, even down a little bit of gold, to siege with regular FG. From a player perspective, how do you, like, I kind of feel like if you are ever on their Phoenix with Fire Giant and lose, it wasn't necessarily a throw, but that was like there's a big difference between being able to siege a Phoenix with fire and getting even a 4K lead in the first 20 minutes of the game and then throwing the game. Like, I think of losing a game where you were on their Phoenix with fire to be a more difficult loss to handle than, oh, we got off to a good start and then like entered through the mid game or something like that.
Yeah, as a player, I would say those are both equally painful experiences. Because it's like, oh, if we just don't take that one team fight, then we can just snowball our lead so much further. And then in the Fire Giant one, it's just like, oh, we did everything right, and then now we lose. So, yeah, both of them are painful. As a Season 6 SSG member, both of those are pretty painful.
Yeah. Looks like in watching back that fire, that Phoenix Siege, they just had no poke. They had no way to like open
Yeah, I
up
was gonna say, if
Titans on
Vinny's
the
like
defense.
an assassin, it's like,
Right.
what are you like starting the fight with? Your mage doesn't really have any room or any like threat, I guess.
Yeah, you're starting. You have no way to easily start the fight, and they've got like a Vulcan, which is really annoying to siege into.
Yep.
Dude, Vulcan
Yeah.
coming out of nowhere, by the way, to now be the most valuable mage. Do you think what's your take on that? Do you think he's a little overvalued right now, or do you think that he actually is as good as advertised?
Coming from our Leviathan set where Vulcan won every game, that god is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to dive. The cripple change definitely made a big difference, and I would like to see more of those changes in the future because I feel like a lot of those older gods are like right on the cusp of getting really good, or like being meta, I guess. But yeah, back to Vulcan. I think he's like completely cracked right now. I think he's really good with like a setup jungler. I think he's also a god that doesn't need setup. You can kind of play him both ways. But his burst on frontliners right now is absolutely crazy. And I feel like you have to kill him before he gets off like a second round of buttons, or he just wins the fight. It's kind of like a Zhongkui, where if they're alive for a long time, you just always lose the fight.
Yeah, his cooldowns are just so low that he's not like a typical proc abuser like a Raijin or a Merlin who can just spread Soul Reaver so easily through a fight. I don't really think of Vulcan as a great AoE mage typically. Obviously his ultimate covers a huge ground, but that's so unconfirmable. And I'd argue his 1 is pretty single target, his 3 is pretty single target. So he's not that type of proc abuser god, but because his 1 cooldown is so short, like
Yeah, I think
pretty
it's
hard
like
to
one.
yeah, pretty hard to deny two rotations of backfire in a team fight. You know what I mean? Like it's a 4-second cooldown.
Yeah, that guy's got to be threatened, or he is going to annihilate your front line in like 2 seconds.
Yep. Percy in chat saying that they feel like the cripple change is the prime example of a mental buff. Don't think it really helped him all that much in reality. I am more on Percy's side than cripple losing the fact that your 1 got crippled made this god go from near 0 pick rate to near 100% pick rate. I do think it matters a lot in where you can take Vulcan in a draft, which is huge in comp play. But in something like ranked, I'll bet you that change did nearly 0 to actually affect his performance. Yet he's seeing way more play than he did before. So I think it was probably mostly, it was a mental buff everywhere but competitive. And in competitive, it was only mostly a mental buff. There was some actual impact, but probably not enough to explain the massive difference in pick rate.
Yeah, as like a competitive player, I feel like the cripple buff is actually like crazy big, because you see like teams top pick Vulcan and you're like, okay, your brain instantly goes like cripple gods, or like what can we shut him down with? And like I feel like Ardio used to be like really good into Vulcan, and now Ardio just gets slammed by Vulcan because you have no way to like really stop him. And then Cupid's really meta now, so obviously you can't backfire of that. So it's really just in a weird spot, I think, where just for comp, I think it feels so much better to always be able to 1 out of everything. I do agree with you guys. It was a mental buff, but from like going through a lot of drafts, it feels just kind of hard to shut him down right now, I think.
Right.
I do think like wall characters obviously are pretty good into him still.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the only thing that really shuts him down, in my opinion.
You know, he's got a pretty decent Vulcan matchup. The young man Zeus. He puts down a turret. That's a free chain lightning. You know, you win your DPS race. Easy.
What year is it?
Like, come on, man, get him out there. I know it doesn't take much to convince Ven to play a little Z-Man. So that's There's my little tip. That's just from the old box days when Vulcan was pretty good on box. I was always happy to take Zeus into that matchup.
Me and Vin are gluttons for punishment with immobile gods.
Yes,
I don't know what it
sir.
is, but every time I can pick an immobile god, I'm like, yes, sir, lock that in.
Give me that. Yo, a little
That
Scotty.
seems good.
Yes, please. A little Scotty. Why not?
Let me die this Erlong gank. Yes, sir.
Well, might as well. One place that you aren't a glutton for punishment, though, BaRRa, is in paying for your phone bill. You know,
True.
that's one place where you said you had enough when it came to paying too much for mobile service, and luckily, there was a place to go where you weren't locked out in the cold. I don't know where that analogy came from, or where it could possibly go.
Mint Mobile let me into the nice fire inside.
That's right, but actually the thing about Mint Mobile is they don't have brick and mortar stores. So that's how they save you so much money. You know, so they actually didn't. Well, Ryan Reynolds opened his personal home to you. You know that could be
in a nice cabin. You know, he let me
rent. Right. Surely Ryan Reynolds owns a cabin. I'd argue that it's more likely, that he owns multiple cabins than owns 0 cabins. If it's over under 1, I'm taking the over, and it's because Mint Mobile is doing so well with its great deals that Ryan Reynolds can afford all of these great cabins. That's all. That's not, I'm sure, not actually how it works. But I don't own any cabins, so I don't really know how you buy multiple. I'm just assuming.
Yeah, I'm not a cabin owner as well, so.
But we're getting closer as long as we're using Mint Mobile, because of course you get premium wireless service for just $15 a month. They don't have brick and mortar stores because they're just this stupid middleman that end up costing a lot of money. Why would you worry about any of that when you can just go online to mintmobile.com, take 5 minutes, if even, picking out your best mobile plan, and then they'll ship it straight to your door for free, and it's just $15 a month. You don't have to change your phone number, don't have to change your phone, just plug in a new SIM card, and you are good to go. You keep all your existing contacts, all that kind of good stuff. BaRRa, if you had to guess how long it took you and Destiny to do the actual searching and then installation for Mint Mobile, total, how long would you guess?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. And do you think you were being particularly efficient?
No, I'm an ADC player, so that is the opposite of what I do.
Yeah, you're taking your time, and it still took you only 3 minutes. So that's not bad. We take those. You get again.
And then on the renewal, it was even less.
No way.
Yeah, it was. I literally went to the website. It was like, "Would you like to renew your phone?" But I clicked yes, and that was it. So pretty easy.
Pretty easy. You heard it here first. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped straight to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/backliners. That's mintmobile.com/backliners. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/backliners.
Easiest thing you'll do today.
Easiest thing you'll do today. No doubt
about
it. Or tonight. Or tomorrow even. Maybe even all week. All year. All lifetime. There you go. That's how quickly it can escalate. Okay, after the Valks Titan set came the big one of the week, I would say. The Oni Warriors up against the Jade Dragons. Game 1 I watched, and it was an absolute stomp for the Jade Dragons. And I was like, okay, that's what we're going to have today. That's just how it is. They're just going to dominate, and we can just move on to tomorrow. But then the Dragons, again, we talked a lot about them doing this role swap. I believe it was last week. They do it again. Scream plays Zeus mid. Pagon plays Naja jungle. And they're off to a big lead, I believe, in this game, if I remember correctly. Oh, no, actually, it looks pretty even throughout.
I think they were getting pressured. I want to say Darda's like CERN mid, I think.
Yes, okay, yeah. So my memory was incorrect on this game, too. Yes, it is pretty even, but Darda is playing CERN mid. Very physical-heavy comp for the Oni Warriors. Their only magical damage being Neoma on Ymir and Nika on Artio. And then Nika, I remember watching the one team fight that kind of turned the game by gold, where Nika kind of rotates over and gets like a triple kill, and then from there the Warriors are able to pressure out pretty effectively.
I don't remember if that was the game where they had a bad Gold Fury call and got flanked, or if that was the next game afterwards. I remember like seeing a little of this set.
Yeah, I don't recall exactly which game it was, but I remember vaguely what you're talking about. And then game 3 is the team swapping, the Dragons swapping back to Scream jungle, Pagon mid. Pagon playing Vulcan, Scream playing a Willish, and this game very even, very back and forth, and then the Warriors just are able to win a fight around fire, it looks like, and close it out from there. I was hoping to have time today to watch back this set, but didn't get a chance to. But yeah, it looks like they literally just pick Mike and then walk to fire, and no one else is really around. This looks like a weird game. Like, there's a 26-minute fire giant with just Mike dead. They commit Naja ult and Fafnir ult, but Neil's still in dragon form. And the dragons are down less than 1,000 gold, and then just can't contest because of 5v4, and never seem to get an honest fight the rest of the game from that position, and lose the set 2-1 for their first loss.
Yeah, I think Warriors have a pretty good matchup into dragons, awkwardly enough. I think when Warriors are able to play their pressure style... Wait, was that the game Dardas was Mori?
No, Dardas played CERN in both games, 2 and 3. He played ESET game 1.
Oh, okay. When did he play Mori? Was that Sunday?
Probably Sunday, yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I will look it up.
Dude, this whole weekend's a blur for me.
Yes, yeah, I was quite busy this weekend as well. It was, Joe and I's anniversary weekend, so we were busy doing stuff all weekend, which was quite fun, but it did mean that I didn't have a lot of time for watching SPL, unfortunately. And
yeah, this is like the least SPL I watched in years for this weekend. Just couldn't watch, yeah.
Sometimes that's how it be. Yep, I sure do know how it be. So the Jade Dragons lose. They look mortal for the first time, all phase. And then on Sunday, you guys go up against the Atlantis Leviathans. This one, a much better showing from you guys, as you alluded to earlier. You're able to be in there and help out.
I was able to look at my monitor and see what was happening, so that was really cool.
And that does tend to help in my experience, at least from time to time. Kernanos mid for Ven in the game 1 loss, but CERN mid starting to pop off a little bit, it seems.
Yeah, that god does a lot right now. We didn't really play game 1 like we wanted to. We kind of like chalked our draft a certain way. Obviously, you can't really go into detail about that, but kind of chalked our draft a little bit. And then game 2, we did a hard swap, like draft-wise and identity-wise for what we wanted to do. And I ended up trolling game 2. They called that Erlang was going to gank like 15 seconds before he ganked, and I was like, I can probably get both blinks here and survive. And then I died. So that was unlucky. I think my trap was on cooldown or something, but I don't think I ever should have died to that gank. I just wanted to like bait and waste their time, but I ended up dying. So it was really bad. I think that was the only way we could ever possibly lose that game, is if our side lanes or mid died like to the Erlang early game, because our comp was so much better. And then game 3, I think that game was like back and forth a lot. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 different swings back and forth. It was a really close game, contestable game. And then unfortunately, we got their Duo Phoenix down. We went to go set up around fire, and we blinked on the Susano. I think we double blinked on the Susano. I think we thought that he beats, but it was just his Magi's. So we kept hunting for like 5 to 10 seconds later. I think Vin got put in a really like bad spot and didn't like insta transform the Susano engage, and then once Vin like instantly dies and doesn't get his ult off, we just lose the fight. There's no way we can win, unfortunately. It was just like an individual error, but I think our late game is getting better. We're just still having to like work on kind of redefining our game plans and draft styles that we want. We're kind of just up in the air right now, trying to figure out where we land.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. I just watched back that engage, and that is
the game 3.
Yeah, the game 3. The game 3 fight. Yeah, getting a Susano on you melee range as a mage 35 minutes into the game. Relics don't feel like they do a whole lot for you in that situation. Don't know.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think Vin thought that he was gonna full commit to him, so he like didn't insta transform, and then he just got full committed on. And It was kind of funny driving back in the car. I was like, maybe I should have stuck with Vin because we saw him didn't have beads, but apparently his beads were up. So it's a really good thing I wasn't next to him because then we both get hit by everything, and he just beads my Tusky and kills me, or yeah, just drops us both to half HP and gets Kepri ulted. So
Yes.
yeah, kind of just individual mistake by Vin, but I mean that stuff happens all the time. So unlucky.
Yep. That's that do be how it goes sometimes. Was it how did it feel going up against Haddix in this week?
Oh, that guy's terrible. It was crazy how bad he was.
I'm watching him absolutely just like basic attack you down as Camazotz.
Yeah, dude. 20. That guy was shelled and like Kepri too, and it was like 40 damage a pop, and I was like, yep, I'm not winning this one. And I think I went Devos that game 2 box of Kama.
Yep.
And then he just auto attacks me and I do 40 damage. So that was really cool and interactive for me.
Yeah, well he went Tainted Breastplate, so you're healing him, actually.
Yeah. Dude, I remember that game, I think they had like Divine and Brawlers, and I was like, why? Yep. Why do they have that?
They have Pele. You guys have Pele.
Yeah. Bad buys.
Unlucky.
They're messing up. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have gone Devos that game, but Devos feels really good some games, and other games doesn't feel that impactful. I know a lot of people have been memeing me for buying Devos or whatever, but it does feel pretty good. And I'm looking at it as I'm just kind of wanting to not build the same build I've been building for a long time. And if the build feels good, I'm just going to slam it in SPL and see what happens.
Seems good to me. Next up was the Kings versus the Warriors. The Warriors had a real chance to solidify themselves as a serious contender, I think, if they had won this set. And they come out of the gate strong. They looked really good in game 1, I remember. That was the only game of this set I could catch. And then games 2 and 3 just don't go their way. In particular, game 2, 24-minute Kings victory, very quick one. Looks like they probably won through backline AMC and Ho Yi. AMC for Big Man Tings, not the type of god that he normally goes for, but that is that's exactly when it looks the best, I think. And if BMT can consistently pressure enemy teams to consider AMC in the draft, this Kings team becomes even harder to draft against, which it already isn't. Do you think Big Man Tings gets enough credit? I feel like Big Man does a lot of work. It is not usually thought of as a premier mid laner in the SPL among like the Reddit community or Twitch chat or casual fans that I talk to, all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like people don't put Big Man's name necessarily in that conversation for best mid laner, but I think that if you look at his numbers over the last like 2 years, I think it's pretty indisputable that he's one of, if not the best mid laners in the league.
Yeah, I think if you're a good player, you know how good BMT is, and if you're a bad player, you probably don't. And also, he's not really that big of a streamer or like name or content creator, so a lot of people will like think about content creators and that are also pro players a lot more than just a pro player that has really good numbers, in my opinion.
Yes.
I think also Kings as a team don't really stream that much. I think it's just like Twig and Genetics that stream. So I think that also doesn't really bring much attention to them. Yeah, I don't know. You're definitely correct 100% that people don't realize how good BMT is. Like, he's definitely in contention for best mid laner 100%.
Yeah. I'd be hard pressed to find many players who I'd put if we had like a season long MVP. Like Big Man just might have my vote right now. I think he has been unbelievable this season.
I think he's just one of, if not, maybe the most consistent mid laner.
Yeah.
And
I always used to say Big Man is a type of player who's not gonna. He's a game manager. He's not gonna lose you the game. He's not gonna win you the game. That's what he was when he first moved to mid. I felt like. Then there was a while where I felt like he was losing you games. But these days, I don't think that he's going to lose you many games. He doesn't have a bad game very often. About the same as a guy like Paul. And he has as many carry style performances as like someone like Paul does. I feel like he's always this guy is hard carrying some games. This game 3 against the Warriors, this is a long game. Okay, this is a 37-minute game. His GPM was 583. That is not real. Like, that is absurd. In a 37-minute game to have 583 gold per minute, even if you're a team that's winning the whole time, he's on a hyperfarm character like Poseidon, that is still an absurd amount of gold. And he had 36k
on, like,
damage.
Paul and Shinto levels of farming.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is an absurd amount of gold for a long game. I don't know. I'm just like looking at these stats and I'm thinking like BMT definitely does not get enough hype for how good he is. I think when people talk about the Kings, I feel like they talk about genetics the most. They talk a lot about Twig, and both those guys are absolutely deserving. But most of the time, it's like backliners who get the hype, when it's frontliners who do a lot of the carrying. Like last year on broadcast, I would say all the time that I think the Leviathans are so good because I thought they were just frontline diffing every team they played against. Like Rongu, Yark, and Panatom were just like winning every frontline battle.
Yeah, Panatom would literally just win games. Like,
it was
I
crazy.
remember the Gilg. Yeah.
Like, obviously Shinto and Zap are two of the best to ever do it, and I don't want to disrespect them in any way, but I would have won games with the Leviathans playing mid last year at times because their front line was that good, and they make your job so easy when they're playing really well. It's just interesting to me that the Kings are kind of the opposite. That I don't feel like anyone talks about Big Man or Netrioid. Everyone talks about their front line instead.
Yeah, Netrioid has been going buck wild lately.
He really has.
Like he used to be one of the safest ADCs in teamfights, and would just kind of have like a vote style of team fighting where like Vote and Dardas really never take damage. Like they will always sit in the back and never like trade their health bar. And Netrioid used to be like that, like safe playstyle wise, but now this man is like jumping into team fights, like trying to trade his HP bar for damage. Like it's really fun to watch. He dies a lot for it, but it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, understands his role on the team. You know, not much more you could ask for than that. And then finally, the Jade Dragons up against Tartarus Titans. I think this was a pretty important bounce back set for the Dragons. Stopping the skid at one set, not falling into a little bit of a rut. They come in, handle the Titans pretty handily. 35 minutes and 25 minutes, but seems to have been in control for the vast majority of it. Cyclone in the earlier set and in this set did play some Ishtar. I think he's the only one to play any Ishtar so far in the SPL. Were you surprised at all to see Cyclone picking that god?
Yeah, I don't think that god's very good, unfortunately. I think, though, the 1 and the 2 are just not great buttons. They're just leveling them just doesn't really feel like it's impactful at all. Ishtar's a really, really fun god, but competitively, I don't think she's the best. Obviously, I think her situations where she thrives is if you can ult 3 somebody and they don't have a relic or a dash, and you just one-shot them, that's cool. And like spread shotting a frontliner, that also feels really cool. But the 2 just doesn't feel that impactful a lot of times, and once your dash gets caught and then you backflip into a team, you're not living that either. And the ult at like long range just doesn't feel that impactful because you hit like 2 ticks of it, and it doesn't really feel like it does much. But I was surprised that he picked it. Yeah, I think he was just experimenting probably, but I was definitely surprised.
Yeah, I think that's I think I was as well. And with that, we are 2 weeks in to the SPL. Kings and Dragons sitting at 1 and 2. Well, I guess 2 and 1. Dragons in first, Kings in second. No real surprise there. Overall, I think the standings kind of look how we expected. Warriors, Leviathans, Titans all grouped up in the middle. You said at the very beginning, BaRRa, that you expected a pretty slow start from you guys that'll ramp up. The slow start has proven to be the case, so obviously rooting for the ramp up as the phase goes on.
Yeah, I wish we could replay Valkyries. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, you'll play them again.
Oh, we do. Yeah, that's fine.
There you go. You'll get your chance to get some revenge there.
Yep.
But yeah, pretty fun weekend from what I was able to watch, and excited to see this upcoming weekend. Now, before we get into the random question of the week and all that kind of good stuff, which this week will be our first week that we are taking questions from our Patreon Discord. You can head on over to patreon.com/backliners if you want to get in on the community Discord and have your questions chosen, all that kind of stuff, and some more benefits that I'll talk about in a minute. But I wanted to talk about something that I know we've talked about on the podcast at some point in the past, but we've been doing this for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are getting geared up to start their ranked climb in Season 10. I think that we should probably do another series of episodes after Worlds on how to climb in ranked, depending on your role, like good habits, good god styles to pick, all that kind of stuff. But that'll be, after Worlds has concluded. But I was talking to a friend who's like trying to improve, dedicate some time to improving at Smite and all that kind of stuff. And one thing that I noticed when I was looking at his gameplay a little bit more critically that I'm sure that I can tell that I've gotten a lot worse at as I've become less and less competitive over the years, and something that when I dive back into trying to grind up, I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to, is particularly for backliners. That's what I'm talking about here, since that's the name of our podcast. Relic usage is so key, and it will win or lose you so many games. Like, you will throw so many easy win games if you mess up relic usage, and you can really win an unwinnable game by using your relics intelligently. So I felt like it might just take some time. It might be valuable for us to take a little bit of time and kind of explore what I mean by that. So, BaRRa, when I say like using your relic, let's split them up even. Let's start with beads. Okay. What constitutes a good usage of beads versus a bad usage of beads, if you had to be very broad?
Bad is when you use it, you're 100% going to die, and you're not buying any extra time by beadsing. I think if you are, like, people always talk about, like, the Zap Relics. If you're using those right before you die, which is, like, basically a Zap Relic, or not pressing them, you buy those 3 to 4 seconds, which can really win you a team fight because you're not dying in an instant CC. So sometimes using relics and dying is appropriate if you can buy extra time and survive a little bit longer, and basically just buy your time or buy your team a few more seconds to win the fight. But there's a very, very small difference there, I think, which takes a lot of hours of gameplay. And also understanding damage values, juking potential, like what buttons are up for them and what buttons you have up. Like, say your jump's up in 2 seconds, and if you beads, you can probably get the jump up and live, or even buy like a few more seconds in the air. I think that is a good beads usage. Whereas if it's in the 50-50 spot and you're trying to learn how to use relics, just always press it. Yeah. And then you'll start to learn, like, you'll start to differentiate which, like, 50-50 is going to go in your favor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you're a player who wants to get better at relic usage, and you're really serious about climbing, I would make note of literally every time you use your beads in the whole game. Have a little notepad up on your side monitor, have a little notepad next to you that you can write down in, and just really, if you aren't recording your gameplay, which you can do, using OBS or something like that, or if you're on a console, like literally clip every time you use your beads in a game, and then just watch them all back and see if, here are the key questions that I think constitute whether or not you used your relic well. Number one, did you need to use it? Like BaRRa was saying. I think the thing that takes the longest
full
time.
HP,
right.
Don't. Most of the time, don't press it. Like, especially if it's just the support there.
Yes.
Just take a second to breathe. He's probably just being annoying, and he's like blinking to see if you beat and
exactly.
like panic.
Yep, I think that is such a key thing. Is like all the time if I'm playing on a Smurf or something like that, and I'm like in a lower elo, I'm playing like Fafnir support, and I walk up by myself out of the jungle and hammer the enemy mid laner, and they beads. I know that player isn't thinking very well about the game state, right? Like, if you get hit with a CC, the mental check that your brain should start to automatically do after you do it consciously enough is who's around, how much damage can they do to me, what buttons do they have up, what buttons do I have up, what is my play if I beads now, how bad is it if I sit here for this whole CC, all that kind of stuff. All that should really be going through your head and being decided in like a couple of frames.
Yep.
And it sounds like a lot, but I guarantee you are doing it at some level. It probably just isn't as conscious of a thought process as it needs to be. So I would look very critically at, did I need to beats in this situation? And what I do now that I'm old and washed is that I just disrespect every CC in the whole game, and I'll hold my beads until I'm Snoopy relicking. That's the opposite of Zapman.
Method.
It's just, I'm holding it. Like, I don't respect this. Like, I don't need to beads this Kraken knockup or anything like that. Like, I don't want to. And then I die, and I'm like, God, I'm so terrible. Like, why am I not using my relics? So, yeah, that's something that I know that I'm trying to work on as we're getting close to Season 10, is ramping up on threat assessment, making sure that I know how much damage I'm going to take, all that kind of stuff. The other really easy thing that you can do to get better at beads, and when looking back at clips of every time you use your beads, and that really is what I would recommend doing. Install Shadow Play. If you're on console, you can clip it. There's a lot of different clip software out there. Set a hotkey. Every time you use your beads, record the last minute of gameplay after the fight is over, and go back and watch it after the game. You could just delete it right after that to save space on your computer. But think about every single usage that way. And that's, did I see this coming, and could I have determined that I needed to beads before I actually got CC'd so that I could have pre-beadsed? So often I feel like you see the max distance spirit ball, and it's going to hit you. You don't have room to juke. You're going to need to beads it, and they take the hit, stand still for half a second, and then beads, and then they end up dying because they got CC'd during that time. If you are going to have to beads when the CC lands, don't let it land. Like, just beads. 9 times out of 10, that is the correct play. Now, there are times, if we're really getting into like high level strategies, there's benefit to waiting and getting CC'd so that they can overcommit to you, and then you can double relic and bait out more and all that kind of stuff. Don't worry about all that. If you saw a CC coming and you knew you needed a beads and you still got CC'd, next time I'm going to pre-beads that type of CC, and getting slowly better at pre-beadsing is really important.
One big thing about beadsing is try to not press another button around the time that you need to press that beads key.
Yes.
Because
can't lock yourself out.
Sometimes it won't work, sometimes it will. So if you're going to start an animation right before you get stunned, sometimes you'll have to wait through that duration, and it's not pretty. So as Aggro said, if you feel like a CC is coming your way 100%, you have to tank it. You can just do the adapting thing, just pre-beads.
Yep.
Just you're gonna get hit by it, just always pre-beads. And that's something a lot of frontliners, like really good frontliners, do now. If they know they're gonna get CC and they need to get their combo off on, say, like a Hades or something, like, you will just blink, pre-beads, press all your buttons, and ult, and like, you're literally CC immune the whole time.
Yep.
But I don't know if pre-beadsing is like too advanced.
I don't think so. I think it's an easy thing to like I saw this Ymir walked up and froze me, and I got frozen.
Oh, yeah.
I beads, and then I got hit by his 2. Whereas if you would have pre-beads the stun, you can walk out of where he's going to land the 2. You know, all that kind of stuff is pretty easily identifiable. I feel like not easy to change, and you're going to have some real bad beads games and moments and all that kind of stuff. And you know, just don't be too hard on yourself. Understand that that's part of the journey. If you will, is getting better at those types of things. And you're going to have some stinkers along the way. And then last but not least is exactly what BaRRa was going to say, which is if you were not playing a backliner, and even if you are, you know, if you're playing Raijin or something like that, that's got to be aggressive. These aggressive junglers in particular, all the time I see people try and like Thor dunk and then just and try and use their buttons, and once they get CC'd, they'll beads, but it's interrupted their 3 or their 2 or, you know, anything like that. If you know they're going to CC you, it's okay to preemptively beats. And if they outplay you by holding their CC, fair play to them. But the vast majority of the time they won't. And you can get so many more kills if you use your beads aggressively in order to know that even if you get CC'd afterwards, it's like, if I'm CC for these 3 seconds, I know I can kill this guy. Depending on the game state, but a lot of times that's worth it for you as a diver. So just something to keep in mind there. All right, how about for Aegis, Barry? What are some general Aegis noob traps that people fall into with that relic?
I think pressing it every time you beat.
Yes.
People will just not think, and they'll just slam both of their relics at the same time. And you don't have to do that, surprisingly. And a lot of the times I Aegis now is like right before. Obviously, it's gonna sound really obvious the way I'm wording it, but right before I'm about to take a lot of damage. Like, you need to see the situation coming, especially with how strong mages are right now. I think you just need to have a little bit of foresight to when they're going to press buttons. Also, same goes for assassins right now. I think that they are also in one-shot positions as someone who got one-shot by a Thor like 2 weeks ago in SPL. You don't have time to beads and Aegis all the time, so you kind of just need to be really quick with your Aegis and figure out when you're going to take a lot of damage, or like what... Like, say you're taking a 1v1, say you're taking an ADC 1v1, like, when am I going to get hit by this Cupidol? When am I going to hit by the bomb? And if I Aegis one of these, or both of them, will I 100% win the 1v1? Like, those are the thoughts that you should be thinking. But I think the noob thing is just panicking. Like, panicking and just pressing Aegis. Like, whenever you're going to take, like, a barely little bit of damage, or... Like, if you think you're going to take a lot of damage and you don't end up taking a lot of damage, that's not a noob trap, in my opinion, because someone could have hit you with a lot of buttons.
Right.
Yeah, you just... Aegising is weird, I think. Aegising is a lot harder than beating, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that the number one noob trap I see is, oh man, I just took so much damage, I'm going to Aegis. And all their buttons are down. Because all it does is just buy them time to get their buttons back up. The easiest like rule of thumb that I've been able to come up with is, let's say you're playing against Ra and you're trying to kill him. You should Aegis the 1 every time instead of trying to Aegis the ult, right? Like, if that first beam is going to make this fight a lot harder for you, just use it. Like, it'll be, if you can guarantee that it gets value, and you aren't interrupting the flow of your fight, then it's always worth it to just take the guaranteed HP save versus the conditional one. And that's kind of the way that I think is the easiest way to look at Aegis, is I'm using it as a conditional heal to get myself out of weird situations. And also, a really good way to use an Aegis, particularly if you're a mage, is if you dump the whole kit and you know you've got 4 seconds where you can't contribute anything and someone can be hitting you during that time, if you Aegis, it lets you get your buttons back up. And then your buttons can save you if you're that type of god, if you're an Iset or a Giannis or something like that, using it just to buy yourself time to get your buttons back is really, really key. So don't be afraid to be a little aggressive. If your cooldowns can come back up during that time. The worst timing to Aegis is use all your buttons, take a bunch of damage, have to Aegis at 10% HP as all of your buttons come up, and they'll kill you out of Aegis every time. So I think that people just wait too long to be using their Aegis. So again, same type of thing with beats. I would just record a clip every time you use a relic, and then watch back the clip and think, could I have Aegis earlier? Did I need to Aegis at this point? Could I have saved it and used it a little bit later? Am I using it when they are on cooldown? Because that's usually the cardinal sin. Unless their basic attacks are going to kill you, wait to immune the key ability. Am I using it while I'm on cooldown, or am all my buttons up and I could have used those to be a little bit more effective? Those are the big things that I think will. I would say that taking the exact same mechanical player, who has the exact same god pool, exact same tendencies, everything like that. One is okay at using their relics as a backliner, and one is not good at using the relics as a backliner. The one who is okay will be a full division higher in ranked. The exact same plat player can become diamond by exclusively only being better at using relics. I really think they're that important.
Yeah, I completely agree. You watch people like Zap, who will sometimes have the best baits ever, and then sometimes have the worst baits ever, but that's just his playstyle. And I think also, trying to learn a playstyle with relics is also really good. You can be the super safe team fighter style, you can be the bait guy that everyone goes on, and the way you use relics is different for both players. Zap wants people to go on him. Zap wants to be 1 HP. He wants to barely survive and buy a lot of time for Shinto to cast.
Right.
And some people are good at that. Zap is definitely the best player at that. But some people, I actually don't think anyone can really do the same thing that Zap does. He is a inter, but in the best possible way.
One of a kind. There's no doubt about it.
He's the best baiter.
Not going to touch that one even a little bit. Turning away from the cliff, as we do very often here on the podcast. All right, that's going to do it.
I set you up.
Yeah, I know. And I turned away. I turned away from the cliff. That does it for our normal stuff. Again, for a random question of the week, this is coming from our Patreon Discord. If you want to be a part of our Discord community, and this is a pretty poppin' Discord, if I do say so myself. Patreon.com/backliners is the place to go. It's the best place to support BaRRa and I directly. If you're a fan of the podcast. And then right after this, as soon as we hang up here on the podcast and on the stream, BaRRa and I are going to be popping into the community Discord every week to just kind of hang out. You can ask us some questions. We can continue our talk of whatever you're talking about on the podcast. I'll tell BaRRa what I had for dinner. Just that general type of hangout and all that kind of stuff. So again, patreon.com/backliners is the place to go. All right. So in the random question of the week suggestion channel, we've got a couple ones. I think we'll probably try and do at least 2, if not 3, every single week. So let's start with Sea Fog. They don't know if this has already been done, and I can't remember either. But what is your most impressive looking meal that requires very little effort? So something that you could cook that you think would impress a guest, but wasn't actually that hard.
I would say probably a burrito bowl or just a bowl in general.
That's a good one.
So as a vegan, bowls are a really good way to get a lot of nutrients in a very easy way. Mm-hmm. You just throw a couple of veggies in there, throw a carb in there, throw a protein in there, have a sauce, and then it always looks so beautiful before you dive in. And they're really easy to do because it's just a few ingredients that you can either roast or you can cook over the stove. And then it's just a big combination of everything. So just kind of toss everything into a bowl and throw a sauce on it. It's always delicious. And it always looks really good.
That's a good answer. I think mine is anything that we cook in the sous vide, because the sous vide is a cheat code. It's unmess upable. and it comes out really perfectly cooked every time. So I think I would say like a salmon, like a good piece of salmon with some roasted broccoli, and then pearl couscous is a great little grain that we eat all the time. Good. People are like, we've had a lot of guests over, and we like make salmon, broccoli, and couscous as the dinner. You know, nice, easy, healthy dinner. And it's so easy, and everyone's always like, wow, what couscous, like how do you even make this? And I'm like, dude, you literally just like buy it and then you put it in a pot. Like it could not be any easier. But for whatever reason, couscous always like, it's unique to a lot of just like at least, you know, the people that I've served it to are people like my family and that kind of stuff. So middle class white people are always impressed, it seems like, by couscous. So that's my go-to at the very least.
It's just delicious. We cook it in like some chicken stock. Well, obviously not chicken, but chicken. And it is just, it's banging.
Yes, it is absolutely banging. Okay, next one is from Mojo Jojo. This is going to get me out of the hole that I dug myself earlier with my wife. The three words, three adjectives, I guess, would be the best for why we fell in love with our spouses. Their examples are like passion, honesty, integrity, that made us really connect with our partners. And there's a good one because it was my wife and I's anniversary, wedding anniversary this weekend. So I'll start then, BaRRa, since I made you start for the last one. Three adjectives. My wife is very funny. That's definitely a big one for me, is that I'm going to troll, and I need someone who can laugh at me trolling, but also make me laugh with their trolling. And she's a bigger troll than I am. No one will ever, if anyone knows both of us, then I think everyone would agree. She is much more of a troll than me, if you can believe it. She's very, she cares about stuff a lot, which I also do, as many longtime podcast listeners know. And so I think that I would find it hard to be with someone who isn't willing to be very passionate about very mundane things. And she is, I can't say patient, because she's one of the least patient people when it comes to things that she wants. Like, if she wants something, she can't wait. Like, it's got to be right now. It's got to be immediate. But when it comes, you know, she's also like a first grade special ed teacher. So she has an unlimited patience for certain situations, but is so impatient when it comes to her own personal stuff. And I think that she's, it's a lot of fun. She's just a lot of fun in general. And that's very important to me. So, I mean, I could go on forever, but we only have so much. And, you know, of course, like, I was going for personality traits, not the fact that I think she's smoking hot. But of course, I think she's smoking hot. That's the way it goes.
Proud of you. You got out of that hole.
Tough climb, you know. I was all the way at the bottom there. What do you got, BaRRa?
Mine is kind of, well, I'm kind of stealing your first one, but
Fair.
Also funny. Because we both kind of have a very aggressive humor style, I guess. Like, I've said things to her that I would never say to anyone else, like, but she can see the humor in it, so it's not like a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like weird, but just the way that we like aggressively joke with each other, but not in like a breaking each other down kind of way.
Sure.
I don't think I would be able to do that with like really anyone else. We're just very aggressive joking with each other, and I absolutely love it because I've never been with someone that can take a joke as well as she can. And I mean, I guess like my dad's kind of the same way, like aggressive joking with my mom. So I think that's kind of where I got that style from.
Sure.
And my second favorite thing, or second adjective, is just chill. Because we don't really care. We're kind of the opposite of you guys, where we don't really care a lot about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a relaxing relationship where we can have deep talks about some things, but also at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like that important, I
Yeah.
guess.
Sure.
And I also like that a lot because it's just like someone I can just lay on the couch with and watch TV and just chill with, and that's always been really important to me. And I think that was kind of our basis of our relationship when we first started dating.
Mm-hmm.
Was like we would go on a fair bit of dates, but we both just kind of wanted to be home, I guess, and just relax. Like dates are cool and everything, but I like, or I guess we both like just kind of chilling and watching TV
Yeah.
and being in each other's company. And the last one is caring. Uh, just how much she cares about me and other people in general and wants them to be the best versions of themselves and as well as like taking care of herself. Like she'll always be the one to like get out of bed and either go like at night like either take the dishes back or cook for me or just kind of make sure I'm in the best like mental health because I've been obviously struggling for a long time since my
Mm-hmm.
brother passed away, so just caring and taking care of me is definitely one of the top three things.
Yep. 100%. Big mood. Shout out Joe and Destiny, two goats, no doubt about it.
Hmm.
And then finally, from the little stack here, from the again Patreon Discord channel, Seafog once again, our home maintenance thing. Like if anything goes wrong in that area, you don't bother calling anyone because you got this. Do you have a home maintenance thing? I'm not sure that I do. I have to like think about it.
Mine is asking Destiny to fix.
Dude, mine is asking Joe to fix it. She is so much handier than I am. It's crazy.
Like, I'll try to fix something, and if my first two to three things don't work, I just get frustrated and
Same.
angry and like want to start beating it,
So
like
tilting.
whatever it is, and I'm just like, why won't you work? But
So annoying, dude.
she'll like slow it down a fair bit, and like the other day I couldn't. It was like yesterday I couldn't get her like. I was replacing the battery in her key fob, and I tried to like get out the like motherboard or whatever it is in there with like my
Mm-hmm.
fingers, and I tried to take it out with a butter knife, and I'm like, neither one of these things is working. And I was getting so angry, I'm like, I'm about to like catapult this thing out with a butter knife. And then I was like, nope, can't do that. So I just went upstairs and like started, I think we were like scrimming or whatever. And I was like, I'm just gonna stop doing this. And yeah,
Yeah, Joe has to
yeah.
finish a lot of projects that I start for sure. I did develop a little extra skill around. We had a toilet that would always, have that running sound all the time. It wouldn't, the drain wouldn't close off. And I did a fair bit of work on fixing those. Where obviously I wouldn't be calling a plumber for that because now
Hmm.
I live. But back in when I was living in apartments and that kind of stuff, I definitely put in a lot of tickets for like, oh, my toilet like won't stop making the noise and all that kind of stuff. And that's one thing that she does not have a lot of expertise in. So that very specific thing that is actually not difficult at all to fix. That's all me. I got that one. Not a whole lot else though. I wouldn't describe myself as a very good homeowner quite yet. Or even okay. Maybe not even bad. I might be in the terrible zone still.
Like, my best thing is drilling holes and like putting things up on the wall or putting things together. When
Mm.
something breaks in my house, I'm not good. Like
No, Joe is
I
better than me
just
at all three of those things by a long shot.
I'll just start like YouTubing things and like if the first two things don't work, I start getting frustrated and need to walk away.
Yep.
But when it comes to like an instruction manual for like putting together like a bed or like a bookshelf, like I love that and really enjoy it. As long as the pieces aren't small. if the pieces are small, I start getting frustrated because I have like, it's like some like manual dexterity thing that just annoys me. If the parts are really small, I'll just start getting tilted. Especially if I like drop a very tiny screw and need to like chase it around the inside of something. That is the most tilting thing that happens to me.
Yeah.
I'm just getting tilted thinking about it.
Yep, literally. Do you have? There's one thing that every time we would move out or move into a new apartment or to our house, putting up curtain rods makes me want to like do unspeakable things. That one task, for whatever reason, I've always been doing it. Like I always have to do it because she's too short and I need to do something. And that's me saying that. But I hate it. God, do I hate it. I hate putting up curtain rods. It drives me insane. I don't know what it is about it, but
I don't think I've ever put one up.
I would rather get hit in the nuts real hard than have to put up.
Really?
Yeah, real hard. I hate
What
it.
happened to you with curtain rod?
I got hit in the nuts real hard. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a tilter. That's all it is.
That's fair.
Okay. That does it for this week here on the Backliners. We will be back next week to talk patch notes and talk about Maui, my first god who's coming to Smite. Super excited about that. Hopefully, it's all excitement and not holy crap. This is the most broken god of all time. But if it is, deal with it. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got. We'll be back next week with some more Backliners action. Again, our sponsors for this episode, thanks to Factor. You can head over to go.factor75.com/backliners60 in order to get 60% off your first box. Midmobile.com/backliners, of course, in order to get premium mileage service for $15 a month. It's a great way to support the show, is to interact with our sponsors. And then if you want to support us directly, patreon.com/backliners is the place to go for that. That's where Bear and I are heading, is over to the community Discord to hang out for a few minutes after the show. And make sure you're checking out all of Prediction's other great shows and all that kind of stuff. A lot of great content coming out of the Prediction pipeline. So make sure you're checking them out. Prediction Esports is the place to go for all of that. BaRRa, with that said, I believe you might know what to do in this instance.
Bye. Why'd you say it like that?
I was just trying to have a little bit of variety, man. I thought your mic got cut out at first because that laugh was like, it was a near the note where you start your bye, and I was like, is he okay?
Well, I didn't know when you were going to start, and I was building up the pressure in my lungs, so I didn't know what to do.
All right, well, I didn't even do the splash thing. Do you have to do another one? Is that how this works, or are we just rolling with that one?
I don't know. I thought that one was good enough.
All right, good enough. All right, see you next week.
All right, see you boys.